Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA.
where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you have forgotten, well, today's Tuesday and we're going to remind you.
Ooh, as you
Right? Good
need to be
morning.
reminded because life will beat you down sometimes and you'll forget that you are absolutely amazing at your core. That's
Absolutely.
it. That's what you are.
Simple.
There's no way you can avoid it. It's what you are. So, in the book, we just peel back the layers and get to
Yep.
that
Yes.
beautiful, perfect, whole, and complete person that you are.
Yes. And that's the part too, is we make it easy for you to remember
Mm-hmm.
AFA.
You're AFA.
Everyone,
That's
say
right.
after me, I am AFA. All right.
Yes.
You deserve to say those words, even
Yes,
when
you
you
do.
don't feel it. Because Mark and I were just talking about this.
Oh my
Feelings
gosh.
aren't right or wrong, they just are.
They
So
just
just because
are.
if you don't feel AFA in one moment, know that we feel it for you. Right?
How many times have you made a rash decision based on a feeling that you had right at that particular moment? And then a day later, you're like, oh, but I don't feel that way right now about that
Anymore.
situation. Why did I say that?
Right. Yep.
Just,
I hear
just emotions. They come and they go.
they
And
come
you
and
know
they
what?
go.
Most of the time, they're not even based on whatever the situation is that's happening at that exact moment. It's all just bullshit from the past that's automatically been lit up in your head. Like you have no control over that. It just occurs.
It just occurs
Yeah.
fast and
And so
furious.
you have this emotional response and then you act on it. And then you know what? It's okay. You're
It's all
human.
right.
You're human. And you know what? And today's daily love is about that. It's about being human. And
There it is.
so, Sherry, why don't we just
Yeah.
roll right in?
Let's roll
We'll do a
right
little
into it.
daily love. So, the daily love today comes from the Tao Te Ching. I pulled from that again. It just kind of popped up. I did a lot of
The
reading this
Tao.
morning, and that really. Good morning, Jack. And that really this kind of stuck out for some reason. I guess because hey, it fits in with what we're talking about just being human. And really, it talks about human beings in society in virtue. And keep in mind, this is 2,500 years old. So people haven't changed. Societies haven't really changed. It's
Right.
the interaction of human beings with human beings. And it was really, really interesting to get this, to hear this wisdom. So here, let's just go. Let's just
Let's
rip
just
into it.
go right into
And
it.
this is Lao Tzu who wrote this, and he was thought to be a historian in the government. So his job was to document and have history written down. Good morning, Lisa. So here we go. It's from the Tao Te Ching. When people stray from the subtle way of universal nature, they can no longer perceive their own true nature. Thus, they emphasize relative virtue. When natural virtue is lost, society depends on the doctrine of humanism. When humanity becomes corrupted, social and religious teachings appear and become powerful forces. When social and religious teachings become corrupted, what is left behind is the empty shell of superficial ceremonies and artificial etiquette. When etiquette is emphasized, it is because people lack the simple qualities of fairness and kindness. This is the starting point of people of confusion. All of these man made partial virtues are merely superficial flowers of false nature. When people begin to move away from their own true nature, it is the beginning of hypocrisy. Therefore, one who integrates his own individual being with the deep nature of the universe sets his heart upon the root of reality rather than the husk, and upon the nourishment of the fruit rather than the fleeting beauty of the flowers. Truly, he cherishes it, what is deep within rather than what is shallow without. Knowing this, he knows what to accept and what to reject.
Wow. That was really, really good. And you know what stuck out in my head right away? Exactly what we talked about yesterday.
Mhm,
Root,
mhm.
the nourishment. Where
The
does it
root.
happen? happens inside. Right?
Inside. It's an
Deep down.
inside job. Listen, life is an inside job. Reality, what occurs to you, the living of life is all in here. It's not out there. We just take in
Yeah,
all this information using these, if you think about it, and I talk about it in the book,
I know you do.
how we perceive things really rudimentary. Think about it. When you visually see something, the image actually gets flipped.
There you
And
go.
right? So
Right.
so think about that. What you see is not always what you see. So when they say seeing is believing or an eyewitness event, it has been proven in court time and time again. Eyewitness events, seeing something and having an eyewitness to something is pretty much just baloney. Like
Well,
you never
yeah,
really see what's truly there, right?
you
It's not
ask 100.
verifiable. And hearing, think about hearing, Sherry.
Oh, hello, hello. Right.
These little sound waves coming in, tickling
Making
these little hairs,
hairs in your ear
making this
ball, in your
little
ears.
drum. I mean,
Right.
it's so rudimentary. It's silly,
Right.
right? This is
Right.
how we take in information from the outside world. So really, it's an inside job.
Yes.
So truly cherishing what is deep within rather than what is shallow without is the key. You
Deep.
know what the answers are.
Right.
You
And
know
so
what the
here, and
perspective.
I love how you were even mentioned about channels tuning in, right? So just think about
Yeah,
it. You can turn the channel in your head at any point in time.
yeah,
Just
you
so think
can.
about your right, like you close your eyes and you see the screen in the back of your head,
Mhm.
right? And so when you're in a moment, right, you can close your eyes and be like, what's going on in my screen? What channel have I
Right.
tuned into from the past?
Yeah.
Right. And now it's time to move the channel forward.
And
Right.
and I
Just
love this piece, Sherry, right here, because, people get so upset when people who are in places of authority fail, right? So even 2,500 years ago, Lao Tzu was talking about it. And he says, when humanity becomes corrupted, social and religious teachings appear. And when religious teachings and social teachings become corrupted, what is left behind is an empty shell. Think about it. We had this controversy in the Catholic Church. We've had other preachers disgraced because of their sexual behavior. Everybody's in an uproar. Everybody's shocked and dismayed. Everybody's judgmental. For what? They're human beings. You're expecting them to be something not human. Oh my gosh. Now, I'm not saying condoning and accepting the behavior. I'm just saying having the thought that somehow they're different than you are.
there you go. Right. Exactly. Well, here it is you never know what's going to drive someone to do something.
You
Ever.
don't.
Ever,
You
ever,
have
ever,
no
ever.
idea.
You can, right? You don't.
Yeah.
We make
Yeah.
stuff up in our heads about
At
what
the
people are doing and why they're doing it.
that and at the end of the day, he calls it out right here. He says, "It is because people lack the simple qualities of fairness and kindness."
There you go.
If
Above
if we all
all else.
operated with fairness and kindness,
Yeah,
a lot of issues would go away.
it
But we're
would.
human.
We're
We
human.
don't. So, welcome aboard.
Welcome
Woo-hoo.
aboard. So, what do? With our humanness, we learn how to adapt.
Yep.
Adaptogens, one of our favorite adaptogens that we're going to dive right into is the
Mm.
cannabis plant, right? So,
Yeah.
the cannabis plant is the most misunderstood plant in the
I
world.
know.
It is
Sherry, I
an
don't know about you, but when I
amazing,
use when I use cannabis as a medicine, I'm very kind. I'm much more kind than when if I'm
not.
not.
I'm not gonna lie. And here's the reason why is because I feel good, right? It
Yeah.
works on my mind, my body, and my spirit all
Mhm.
at the same time. The plant has a consciousness to it. And the
Yes.
more I tap into the healing consciousness of the plant, the more rich the plant becomes. And it's
Mhm.
easier for it to become involved in my life and to my daily rituals, my daily routines, of living, because it has helped so much. And that's what we want to
Yeah.
teach about. So this
Uh-huh.
plant is so complex, Mark. You think about it, it has so many different components, cannabinoids, terpenes, essential fatty acids,
Yeah.
bioflavonoids,
Yeah.
canaflavins, all working on the most important system in our body. So
I know.
today is what's today, Mark?
Oh boy. This is one of my favorite days, Sherry. It's
Yeah.
Terpene Tuesday. Yeah, hug and a nug.
Hugs
We're
and
gonna have a
nugs.
little fun today.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But okay, so today's terpene is going to be limonene. But first, let's discuss what terpenes are. So, terpenes are organic compounds that produce specific smells, tastes, and they're found in cannabis, essential oils, plants, trees, and foods. And we talk about these different things, and we're going to get into this one in a particular in a second. So, if you think about what terpenes do, they're a protective mechanism for the plant. They help
Mhm.
to ward off attacks from animals, insects, fungus during the growth cycle of the plant. So when the plant goes through its curation process at the end of harvest, right, the terpenes become oxidized. Think about the oxygen hitting them, and they start to
Mhm.
develop and evolve, resulting in we know as terpenoids.
Whoop, whoop.
And so, Mark, what I love, and this was so mind blowing to me, is that how terpenes contribute to the entourage effect and
Yeah,
have their own healing properties, meaning the combination, right? The entourage effect suggests that using
right.
cannabinoids
Yep.
and terpenes
Uh-huh.
together produces a more potent medicinal effect
Right.
rather than using the isolated compounds alone.
Yes, and, in pharmaceutical medicine, we try to use isolated compounds, right? We try to
Right.
elicit out of whatever that plant is, and 65% or so of medications are derived from plants.
Yep.
So, we try to elicit out that one molecule that's having this magical effect. Well, in this case, we know there's an entourage effect. We know that all of these things play a part, but when you pull them out, that effect is gone. It's
Yes.
gone. Like
Hmm.
like these we talk about it a lot, terpenes in high concentrations, which, now they're starting to pull all these terpenes out and people are starting to use them in much higher concentrations. I don't think it's such a good thing.
No, I don't
As a matter
either.
of fact, some of them can be fatal if you use a large amount of them.
Exactly. So the reason why, what we're doing here is we are breaking down the plant so you can
Mhm,
see that these specific terpenes are found in other things, fruits, vegetables, essential oils. They can be used in conjunction with
mhm.
cannabis. We don't want y'all to go out and buy a big bottle of lemonade. That's not the whole point, right? So we want people to understand how it's a part of the plant and how
Mhm.
it works in conjunction with the plant. And generally, what we have found, and even with essential oils,
Yep.
it's a combination of different things that actually make it work better. So I
Right.
just wanted to point out to Jack really quickly. Good morning, Jack. Yes, we did do lemonine last year. However, what we didn't do is we didn't go through Canna-Keys. So Canna-Keys is a new research tool that we actually have started to use, and it
Mhm.
breaks down the terpene even further and provides different specific studies. It shows the amount of studies,
Right,
the pot, like, is it good,
right,
bad? It breaks it down even further
right.
and even looks at
Yeah.
specific conditions, the top conditions that they're studying. So we're going to go through a lot of the other terpenes that we've done before
Oh,
where
yeah.
we haven't looked into the Canna-Keys because we just want to
And
provide you
and
with.
you know what? You know what? I bet if I gave a quiz on limonene right now with all of you out there, I'm not so sure you'd pass, okay? Because I know you weren't paying attention the last time, so we're gonna do this over and over again.
Oh,
Mhm. Yeah. Okay,
mhm.
Sherry, we
Right?
know. We know.
What might be fun is to have we play a game, right? Maybe a game at the end of the week, right? Fun fact Friday. Did
Oh,
y'all listen in every
we have a
week?
little
And then we can little
quiz.
quiz.
Ooh, I
Be
like
fun,
it. Little
right?
competition, a little quiz. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
get your notepad out. Get
Okay.
your notepad out. Start writing
So
it down. You're gonna need this
you're
information.
gonna need it for Friday.
All right.
Yeah. So
So
lemonine. The more I started to delve into this through Canna-Keys, the more I was blown away.
mhm.
So lemonine is the second most abundant terpene in nature after pinene.
Right. We
And
talked
I
about
found
timing it.
this, yeah, I found this really, really fascinating. And this is probably why I like those citrusy type of terpenes, because
Mhm.
upon inhalation, this was really interesting. Limonene becomes rapidly bioavailable, our body's ability to use it after
Mhm.
inhalation. So, inhalation of limonene vapor, when it's part of the plant,
Yep.
and even oral consumption, if it's in a tincture or any of these
Mhm.
edibles that you decide to eat, increases serotonin and dopamine levels in specific areas of the brain that are
Mhm.
associated with anxiety, depression, and OCD.
And
So
I
think about,
do so love dopamine. Oh,
yeah, dopamine. Oh
I
my God.
dopamine. Any way I can get more dopamine, I'm gonna be a happy guy.
Yeah. Well, you know what, too? That's a really, really, really good topic because there are
Mhm.
other things that we can do in our lives to help to stimulate dopamine,
Right.
natural things that are good for us.
Absolutely.
And sometimes
Absolutely,
a
and
lot
all
of the,
related to the endocannabinoid system because that's the master. That's the one
yeah,
that's gonna help regulate all these other neurotransmitters like dopamine, like serotonin, like norepinephrine.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So we're on the right
Absolutely.
track.
We are.
Limonene is the precursor of pyrrollyl alcohol, and it's a common monoterpene found in various citrus fruits and essential oils, right?
Yep.
So what is it about limonene? And are there some cautions? Do we need to be aware of some things?
Yeah. So basically, some of the research has shown in cannabis that limonene is very clear. It's a colorless liquid, and
Mhm,
it's been given the generally recognized as stay safe label of approval.
mhm.
Though in the isolated forms and highly concentrated isolated forms, it could cause skin irritation and eye irritation. Right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
and
So,
it makes
so
sense, right? It's found in
mm-hmm.
citrus fruits. Now, that's a good point to bring up. Generally recognized as safe is a
Grass.
designation that the FDA gives to chemicals, right?
Right.
So anything that's added to foods that manufacturers want to add to foods, they will get a designation from the FDA that says it's GRAS,
It's
GRAS, generally recognized as safe. Now, that's been something that the folks in the hemp industry have been trying to get CBD as
you go.
generally recognized as safe to be able to put into edibles and drinks and all these
Yep.
things. I mean, we're doing it anyway, but we're looking for that designation that says it's generally recognized as safe. In other words, you can use it. We haven't seen any adverse effects. It's
Yeah.
okay.
And we all know that no one has ever died of using cannabis, and that includes CBD,
That
right?
does. That
Yeah.
does. So, the scent description, of course, is gonna be lemon, citrus, orange, spicy.
Turpentiny.
Mhm, mhm. Yep,
That's a really different smell. But
yeah.
there are a lot of natural resources, which is
Mhm.
great. Citrus rinds,
Yeah.
juniper, lemons, limes, oranges, caraway seeds,
Ooh,
dill seeds, rosemary, and peppermint. So some of these are things that I wouldn't even think of, which I found to be,
right. And so here we go, benefits, we talk about
mm,
this, and there's so much of an overlay with all of the different components that are
yeah, there's a lot.
cannabis, there's a lot of which is magnificent. It's just that's the magic or the beauty or the power of the plant.
Yeah.
Some of the benefits are antidepressant, anti-anxiety, antibacterial, active against acne bacteria, antifungal, anti-tumor, an antioxidant, and a bronchodilator. Like it's going
Mhm.
to open your airway,
Airways.
which
Yeah.
who doesn't need
Bronchial asthma,
air?
right?
Mhm,
Yeah. So, and some of the other things too, when it comes to the anti-tumor stuff, the Kanakee showed that it may protect against breast and skin cancers.
mhm,
It may reduce obesity and help with weight loss. It may help with cholesterol-based gallbladder stones. There you
mm,
go. If you got gallstones related to cholesterol, it may help.
mhm.
And then I like this one. It has to do with gut health.
Yeah,
Gut health. It may normalize peristalsis, with the movement of things through your digestive tract, in
mhm,
cases of heartburn and GERD, right? So GERD,
yeah,
we love that word.
yeah,
Gastroesophageal reflux disease.
yeah.
Right?
It's a serious thing.
It is.
You don't want to have heartburn
That,
and GERD for a very long period of time because it can
that
lead to changes in the cells of the esophagus and it can lead to esophageal cancer. So, if you
Yep.
got heartburn, you have GERD, you want to treat it. You don't want to mess
Mm,
around with that.
no,
Very serious.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And cannabinoids can help for sure.
Yes, they can.
So, Mark, what I like too, what I found very interesting, and I found this
Mhm.
in various sources, is that it's just going to give another example of how lemonade and other cannabinoids can intensify the medicinal effect. So, lemonine
Mhm.
plus CBD can enhance the antidepressant and anti anxiety effects.
Nice.
Lemonine plus CBD and CBG, which are some of my favorites, can
Mhm.
cause enhanced anti cancer effects.
Mhm.
And then the THC with the limonene can cause enhanced anti-GERD effects. So
Love it.
anti-gastroesophageal reflux disease effects.
Mhm.
Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, so what did we find, Sherry? We found studies, 43 total studies in Canakeys. There are 12 lab, 9 animal, and again, we talk about it, we have lab, then we have animal, then we have clinic, then we have human trials. So there were 12 lab, 9 animal, 2 meta-analysis, which is a really stringent methodology used to look at all the research that's been done, and it really is a very, in-depth mathematical, statistical analysis of all these studies. It's not just like, "Hey, let's read all these studies and form an opinion." No,
Right.
this is like
We
crazy
dive in.
mathematics and statistics, and if I'm just finishing up a class on statistics, and if you haven't taken one, you're missing out on one of the greatest joys in life.
Not
Not so much. But
not
it
so
is
much.
super interesting. Anyway, the analysis process. So the meta-analysis, 9 clinical human, but no double blind
Right.
as
Yep.
of yet.
As of yet.
And you know what? We're so early on in this, of course,
It's,
we may not have a lot of double blind
yeah.
studies because, they're number 1, they're costly in many cases.
Yep.
And you really have to go through a long process to get them approved and
Oh,
then
yeah.
to actually execute on them. So there's a lot to
I,
it. So we're
Yeah,
still early on.
we are. I'm going to tell you really quickly too. This is an analogy of how long research takes. So I
Mhm,
participated in research for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, doing chart reviews
mhm.
of women who were getting diagnosed with breast cancer and how long prior they had had their mammogram. When they
Yep.
had their first mammogram, second mammogram, how
Mhm.
long did it go before they actually got diagnosed?
Yeah.
Well, looking at charts, and this wasn't even giving patients medications. It
Mhm.
took 3 years, 3 years to
Right,
go through
right.
all of this
So these take
material.
time.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and this was just looking at charts. So can you imagine if you're giving people drugs and pharmaceuticals and you're looking
Oh,
for
yeah.
adverse
Oh,
reactions and,
yeah.
you're asking 1,000 questions
Yeah,
or,
and it's
gathering.
not I mean, think about it. So when you're doing a study, first you have to design the study, and there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of mathematics that come into how many people do you need to have in order to have a statistically significant result, right? So there's all of these things you gotta do on the upfront. Then you have to submit it to the IRB, right? The review
Yeah,
board, and they have to
yeah,
say, "Yeah, you're not gonna hurt anybody, and the benefits outweigh the risks. Go ahead."
right,
And that's a long process. Then you
right.
get into the study. Then when the study's done, after you've gathered all that data, then you have to do all the analysis, which takes even longer. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a long process. But
Long process, but the good news is it's happening. We are seeing
yes.
it happen, and we are excited to share with you all of these new studies that we are discovering when it comes to the cannabis plant and specifically terpenes, and we're narrowing it down back to limonene.
So
So,
back to Terpene Tuesday and the hug and the
yeah,
nug.
the
So
hugs and the nubs.
so Sherry, what are some of the top conditions that are related to these limonene studies that have been done?
Okay, so some of the top conditions that they've studied include brain cancer,
Mhm.
inflammation,
Yep.
non-specific cancers,
Mhm.
anxiety, bacterial infections, stress, and Parkinson's, which is a neurodegenerative disorder. So
Right,
I
and
thought
it's
this was
related to
fascinating.
what? It's related to a lack of dopamine, right? So
Lack of
earlier on, you said that limonene has the ability to
Yep,
increase serotonin and dopamine.
dopamine, right?
So,
Makes sense.
yeah, so it would make sense that we wanna maximize any of the cells that are left in someone with Parkinson's that are able to produce dopamine.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then what I found, I was like, score at the end, right? They have
Mhm.
big bold letters, and they actually break down the individual studies, and the
Mhm,
end said this: these are studies have demonstrated that limonene is effective for, so let that sink in. Studies have demonstrated that limonene is effective for, are you ready? 1,
mhm,
brain cancer.
mhm,
2, breast cancer.
mhm,
3, non-specific cancer. You guys hearing me
mhm.
here?
Yep.
Hearing me here? Depression and pancreatic
Mhm.
cancer. So
Right.
this is studies you guys got to think
Yeah.
about. Preventative,
But
right?
yeah, but let's be clear, it's not saying that it cures cancer.
Here's it, right?
There are no cures for
Effective.
cancer. We treat it. It's effective for, meaning that it has some positive effect on it. But
Right.
man, oh man, there's billions and billions and billions of dollars been spent on trying to cure cancer, and we still don't have a cure. So anytime something says that it's effective for it,
I'm in the game.
I'm supportive of whatever that is.
Me too. I agree.
All right. So what are some of the strains that are high in limonene?
Okay, these are, I love talking about strains. Well, we talk about strains all the time because now we're
Huh?
looking at more of chemotypes, right? So you have these
Yes.
strains with all these different
Yeah,
terpenes and
strains is
different
sort of an old
concentrations.
term, isn't it? What
But
variety? Yeah, what
but the
chemovar?
names, but the names are just so funny.
I know.
The names just make me smile because I'm like, who thought of them? Why did they think of them? You know,
Mhm,
what was the effect that they were having when they thought of that name? So anyway, Sour Diesel is one of
mhm.
them.
Yep.
Bruce Banner, which I heard is
Mhm.
a really, really strong one.
Yep.
Marion Berry, never heard
Mhm.
of that one.
Yeah.
What else, Mark?
OG glue. Heard of that. Animal cookies. Oh, yeah.
Mm,
Banana OG. What else,
hmm
Cher?
Berry White, Black Cherry Soda,
Uh-huh.
Cinex,
Mhm.
and this is one that I'm growing. Dosey Do, one
Yep.
plant growing. And then this is another one I like too, really good. Miracle Alien Cookies, believe it or not. It's a really
Mhm.
fun one, and I like it in the evening. So I get stuff done and I have fun while I'm doing it.
Yeah. Then we have purple Hindu Kush,
Yeah.
quantum Kush, strawberry banana. What else?
Tahoe OG, Wedding Cake, and White Fire OG. So I'm just going to
Mm,
really quickly. So when we're looking at all of these, right? A lot of people will go, oh, sativa, indica, hybrid. You know what I mean? So you have to look at this as a combination. There's all different types of
yeah,
bars in here. And
yeah.
these particular ones are high in limonene.
We're moving away from indica sativa blends, blah, blah, blah. We're really going down to chemovar, chemotype, variety. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to
Yeah.
what's actually in the plant itself because there's
Yeah.
so much hybridization that's been done. It's
Yeah.
just it's not relevant anymore to say it's an indica or a sativa. They're just, you know, they're
Yep.
they're new.
And they're new.
Yeah.
They're new stuff. So
Mhm,
Terpene Tuesday, hugs and nugs for all of
mhm.
you guys out there. Michelle, let's say hello to everyone. We have
Shelly,
Shelly. Good morning. And
morning,
Michelle Morris just
Stephanie,
got back from a
Glenn,
yep trip.
Denise.
Denise,
Hello.
Carrie Lee, love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us and starting
I
your
hope
day
you
off
took notes.
the AFA
We
way.
may start quizzing, so this is important. You guys wanna be ready.
That might be kind of fun,
Pop
have a little
quiz.
pop quiz. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. So what do we got going on this week, Cher?
You know what, Mark? I was just going to ask you that same thing. We've got a new guest coming on Wednesday. Who we
Oh,
got going
yeah.
on? We got a guy that wrote a book, and I have to look at
Yes,
it.
yes. So really cool guy, Taras Batiste, is gonna join us tomorrow night. And he's written a book. He just published on Amazon, and really, really excited to have him on. And it's about using cannabis appropriately.
Yes,
Yeah.
I started to look at it, and I was like,
Mhm.
ooh, this is going to be a good one because he didn't have a good start with cannabis.
He did not have a good start with cannabis, and so
Mhm.
he wrote a book about it. He
Yeah.
thought that it was important that people sort of have
See a different
understand
side.
his experience, right?
Yeah, why not?
And
Yeah.
so, he's a really cool guy, and I'm really excited to have him on. We've been
Oh,
talking about
good.
it for a while because he's been writing his book for a while, and he published at the end of March, and now he's ready. And so
Let's
glad
do
to
it.
have him on,
Good.
and glad that he'll be able to make it. So
Yep.
that's Wednesday night at
Wednesday
8 p.m.
night. Exactly. And then we have our shows every morning at 8 a.m.
Yep.
We love having you all join us. And then Friday morning, we are going to have our Frequency Friday,
Mhm.
which is going to be great with the nurses. And we're going to talk about energy healing and give you all a little sample of our little Healy device. Mine's charging.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Energy, light, and information. We want you
Mhm.
all to feel good, mind, body, spirit. Cannabis is the most amazing tool that works on our bio, psycho, social, spiritual selves
Oh
all at
yeah.
the same time, right?
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, absolutely. So we'll see you tomorrow at
Tomorrow morning,
8 a.m.
8
Eastern
a.m.
Standard Time, starting off our Wild Wednesday.
Yeah.
And as Sherry said,
Remember.
we'll have our 8 p.m. We're ready to go. Guys, I'm going to have an AFA day today for sure. Absolutely. I'm going to remember what Lao Tzu said about internal. It's
Mm.
all inside of me. All the answers are here. I don't need to get anything from the outside world. And so I've already started my AFA day. Thank you so much for joining us here. Love to see you guys every morning. And Sherry, what's it all about?
Oh, Mark, it is about living your best life, helping others do the same, and decreasing stigma around what it means to feel good.
Happy Terpene Tuesday, everybody.